and this is your Solent Sports News latest update. Today, Everton have received a 10-point deduction, the highest in Premier League history, following a breach of financial fair play. The deduction sees them fall to 19th place. I'm now joined by Evan Pender, an expert on football finances. So Evan, it's been a long road here for Everton. It's been reported over the last couple of months they were going to get this points deduction. What are the contributing factors?
Well, ultimately the club's had little to none success in the last few years. Over the last 10 years, I think their net spend is negative 277 million, and the stadium that they've been building for a few years now, that cost 700 million. So if you add that up, that's almost £1 billion spend over the last 10 years and not much to show for it.
And I guess as we've seen the last couple of weeks, Everton have been playing really well, picking up points. They've now been reset, essentially. How is this going to affect them heading into this busy Christmas period where we've got games coming every other day?
Those points now seem far more important than they did at the time. So I think 3 wins out of the last 5 games is huge for Everton. And I think they're lucky they've got Sean Dyche as manager, because he's, with Burnley, proved that he's really good at keeping teams up and play some kind of football that's going to get them wins.
Thank you, Evan. Sticking in England, during Arsenal's 1-0 loss to Newcastle last week, Gunners manager Mikel Arteta was furious following his side's defeat after conceding a controversial goal. A decision by VAR following an alleged push and the ball going out of play has sent Mikel Arteta over the edge, resulting in him being charged by the FA for calling the VAR officials a disgrace and an embarrassment.
Yeah, we have to talk about the result, because we have to talk about how the hell this goal stand up, and it's incredible. I feel embarrassed, but I have to be the one now coming here to try to defend the club and please ask for help, because it's an absolute disgrace that this goal is allowed. It's an absolute disgrace.
Why do you think it's a disgrace?
Because it's not a goal. For many reasons, it's not a goal. For more than one reason at least, it's not a goal.
Southampton defender Taylor Harwood-Bellis has been spotted training with the England senior team ahead of their game tonight against Malta. Harwood-Bellis captained England's under-21 side to European Championship glory this summer before joining Southampton on loan from Manchester City, with a buy option if the Saints achieve promotion to the Premier League. I'm now joined by Finlay Ireland, our Southampton expert, to talk more. So Finn, obviously we've seen Harwood-Bellis come into the defensive backline after the Sunderland defeat. How has he helped improve the Saints?
He's been really crucial to Southampton's rise, you could say. 8 unbeaten since the Ipswich loss. And he's come in and formed a really good partnership with Jan Bednarek. I think that's been really noticeable. He started to adapt to Russell Martin's system of how he wants to play, and it's proved 2 clean sheets, and he got himself a goal against Birmingham.
And as we mentioned, there is a buy option for a rumoured £20 million or so. If the Saints do manage to make it back to the Premier League at the first time of asking, how important will he be to Premier League survival?
I think he'll be vital. He's got bags of experience at such a young age, and for only, I think, around £20 million, it's a no-brainer for Saints. He's already formed a good partnership with Jan Bednarek, who's been at the club for a very long time. It would be a no-brainer for Saints to buy him if they were to get promoted in the summer.
Thank you, Finn. Ahead of England's game this evening at Wembley, Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold has spoken about his desire to cement his place in Gareth Southgate's Euro 2024 squad in Germany.
We spoke, me and the manager, in the summer about a midfield opportunity and trying to see trying to see if we can make it work and how that could potentially look. There's been a definite newfound excitement for me. It's a huge opportunity, and it's one that I'm grateful to have, but also want to make sure I take it.
Colombia were helped to a 2-1 victory over Brazil with a brace from Luis Diaz, much to the delight of his father, who was reunited with his family after 12 days after being held hostage. Their team marches into 3rd in the World Cup qualifiers, hoping to secure World Cup football after missing out in 2022. Elsewhere in South America, Darwin Núñez helped Uruguay to a win against world champions Argentina. Eastleigh FC dream of FA Cup glory, but they face a tough opponent in Reading FC in the next round. We sent Alex Worth to the Silver Lake Stadium to find out more.
After beating Boreham Wood 5-1 in the FA Cup first round just 12 days ago, Eastleigh find themselves dreaming of FA Cup glory. Bottom of League One side Reading are set to visit on the 3rd of December, a game that will be televised on ITV. Defender George Langston admits it's important for him and his squad to keep their feet on the ground.
No, not yet, to be honest with you. Obviously, we know it's a big tie for the football club, and we know it's a big tie for ourselves as well. Obviously, it's not going to notice that it is going to be televised. So, but at the minute, that's at the back of our minds. We've got 2 or 3 really important games in the league. Like we've got Altrincham tomorrow at home. We've got Boreham Wood again on the Tuesday, so it's a quick turnaround. And then, as far as I'm aware, top of the league, Chesterfield away from home the Saturday before Reading on the Sunday. So, at the minute, there's not much concentration on that game, if I'm being all honest. So, because we know we've got a job to do in the league, which is as important for us at the minute. But we can't ignore that. Obviously, it's a big tie, and I'm sure the Silver Lake will be packed out for that one. It'll be a big game.
This is where Reading FC will change, and hopefully for them, change the course of their dreary start to the season. However, George thinks on any day, Eastleigh are a good match for anyone.
I think it's big, and I think it's one that I think the closer the day comes, the more that the club feel like, well, it's a game of football at the end of the day. Both teams start with 11 men on the pitch, and you've got 90 minutes to try and beat the other one. So I can't see why we wouldn't go into that thinking we can win the game. And yeah, I think you can get the general consensus around the club that there is a buzz about it. Obviously, there is a League One club coming to town, and yeah, I think just generally, I think it's gonna, well, the club's in a good place to try and enjoy that kind of moment and occasion, and hopefully we can do our job on the pitch and try and win a game of football.
Alex Worth, Solent Sports News.
We now go live with Alex, who is joined by Ricky Hart, the head of media at Eastleigh.
Hello, I'm Callum Pearman, and this is York Hall Leisure Centre, one of the biggest British boxing venues in the world, where it will now play host to a new form of boxing, influencer boxing, where Misfits will take on the task of hosting an event here later, where FaZe Jarvis will take on B Dave in the main event. B Dave, who fought on the Prime card a few weeks ago, is a mainstay in Misfits and has been fighting on there for years now. Whereas FaZe Jarvis, this is his debut. His last fight, a loss to a Nissan Gibb in the Kingpin tournament. There's lots of other 50-50 fights on the lower end of the card. We've got Minikon, who takes on Arms in a heavyweight title eliminator. We've got Julie Poker, who takes on Vampire in the first ever co-main event, female main event. And we also have Simple Simon, who takes on Dapper Laughs, both in the aid of charity. For Dapper Laughs, he's fighting for men's mental health and emotions, a Facebook group chat helping men and their mental health. And then Simple Simon fighting for Gloves Up, Knives Down, a charity in which it makes sure that teens stay out of the streets and in a boxing event. This is a huge event for Misfits. This is the first time they're coming to York Hall, first time outside of a big stadium and looking to sell where traditional boxing, and especially grassroots boxing, is absolutely massive. As you see, Simple Simon's just walking past over there and his fans shouting behind us. This is going to be a great event. The first fight starts at 10 to 6, so please tune in.
Apologies, that was actually Callum Pearman at Misfits White Collar Boxing at York Hall. We now go live to Alex, who is joined by Ricky Hart, the head of media at Eastleigh.
So we're joined here by Ricky Hart, who is the social media manager for ECFC. Ricky, just tell me, how has the season gone for you so far?
Yeah, it's been okay, to be honest. We've had a bit of a slow start. We were winless, I think, in our first 5. But a change of manager, and we're now picking up points, and we're climbing the table. We're in 11th now, but 5 points off playoffs. So to be honest, I think we're doing okay. We just need to find a bit of consistency and carry on trying to pick up wins. And there's been a couple of games this season where you think we picked up a point, but we probably should have picked up 3. So it's one of them. It's just minor adjustments will make a big difference. But yeah, I think I'm quite happy with how we've done so far.
Awesome. And then obviously on the 3rd of December, you're playing Reading here in the second round of the FA Cup. Just tell me how having a team of that sort of size coming here is beneficial to the club. Massively beneficial. There's so many factors of it. There's one, the money. We get quite a substantial amount of money for even being in this stage of the competition.
That's without mentioning the fact that ITV are coming, so the fact that it's been broadcasted, we get more money for that. And then obviously if it goes to a replay, we'll get even more money from that. So it makes a massive difference. I grew up as a Watford fan, and when I thought of the FA Cup, I only thought about the prospect of potentially getting to Wembley, getting a trophy. Maybe deluded actually as a Watford fan, but that's the more that's the bigger focus when you support a team that's that high up. But I think as you spend time in this environment, you realise that the money actually makes a massive difference to clubs of this sort of size, and I think that's the bigger thing for us. Obviously, we're not going to go and win the FA Cup, or probably even get to the final for that matter, but the money that comes along with it and the experiences and the opportunities that we'll have to play teams like Reading, like we are on the 3rd, it's massive for the club, and everyone around the club is excited and just looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, Ricky. Back to you guys in the studio.
Southampton women's footballers Kayla Rendell and Molly Pike were helping out at Solent University to sell tickets in the FA WSL Cup against Arsenal in what will be a record attendance at St Mary's.
Yeah, I think it's really special for us. It'll be a big occasion, but it's just about focusing on ourselves and bringing a good game to St Mary's and hopefully have a good fan base.
Yeah, hopefully they'll feature. It'll be a great experience. I think it will be good and gives us a little taste. So hopefully if we get promoted this year, that we can face it next year.
Earlier this week, Winchester City Football Club have announced plans to redevelop the Charters Community Stadium. The refresh of the ground will see a new stands, seeing an increase from the current 180 seats, as well as an all-weather artificial pitch and new floodlights. The citizens will play at home for the first time tomorrow since this news broke. They will face Swindon Supermarine, who sit 21st in the league. Charles Leclerc topped the opening day of practice on F1's return to Las Vegas. However, not everything was smooth sailing for this massive event. The opening practice session of the weekend was abandoned after drain cover came loose and damaged Carlos Sainz and Esteban Ocon's car. Practice 2 started after a lengthy delay at 2:30 AM local time, which fans were not able to witness due to ticketing issues. Australia are through to Sunday's Cricket World Cup final after beating South Africa by 3 wickets, where they will face host nations India. The hosts go into the fixtures as heavy favourites and will be hoping to do it in front of 132,000 people at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. Solent Ravens are the heart and soul of the Solent sports teams, and they put in plenty of hours themselves. Here's Ethan Moss-Wills with more.
Cheerleading has been a competitive sport in the UK for over 30 years, where it's growing year on year. It's particularly popular at Solent University, where Solent Ravens attract plenty of prospective cheerleaders and form a key part of Solent University's sporting community.
So we're always at the games, basketball and American football. We bring energy, we get the crowds hyped, we're there to perform, to show people what cheer is, that it's not just shaking palms. There's a lot more that go into it, but we're ultimately there to make sure that Solent teams win. But we work closely with the uni, particularly with this team. The uni's been great at giving us a lot of media coverage, especially at the Kestrel Games. They've been using other societies to put us on their live streams and stuff like that, and they've been inviting us to games, which has been really nice to get recognition for that.
Well, the game day team gives Solent sides a competitive advantage, performing on the sidelines. The Ravens also have a variety of squads competing in their own right.
So we have multiple squads. We have dance and cheer ones. So we have our competitive cheer team, which is stunts and dancing. Then you have a stunt team, which is just purely stunts. Game day, which is at all the games, and we do a lot of performances as well. And then you've got hip hop, lyrical and jazz in terms of dance teams.
So we have 2 competitive stunt teams that compete nationally. It's like a smaller category. So we have the main competitive team, which is about 20 girls, and then a stunt team is just 4 to 5 people, and we compete against other universities within that division. So it's just one team on the mat. There's no like dance, no tumble. It's just pure stunt, 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 and then we win.
As with any university activity, cheerleading comes with the promise of socials, a time to let your hair down and inspire a group atmosphere, something which is key to the Solent Ravens.
Like with socials, I think they're so important to really get freshers out their shell, to make them feel like part of a family, get to know each other, and like just make everyone more familiar, because obviously like they start off not knowing a single person, maybe a few people, So obviously they're nervous, and with socials, it's kind of like loosens people up, kind of brings them out, and like just we get to see the real them, and it just makes us so much more closer as a team, especially when we're like competing or performing. It's like, obviously we're throwing girls up in the air, you've got to trust each other, and to get that trust, you've got to know each other, and through socials, that's how you get to know people.
Like a good way to make friends, and like the sort of sisterhood it's given me. There's not that many female like dominant sports, and within that a lot of those can be quite intimidating, so it was really interesting to find a sport that is athletic and challenging but also has like the dance aspect and the pretty bows, and like it's just like a mix of all of my favorite things.
The Solent Ravens will be performing right here again next week to cheer on the Solent Kestrels basketball team to inspire them to victory yet again.
That's all for today. For more updates, check out our website solentsportsnews.com. Thank you.